and mainly with what's going on with Mark Cuban and the things that he's been saying lately have really just been really sickening. It's just, as a fan, to hear your owner, just see your owner, rather, since it's on Twitter, say these type of things about the fan base, it's shocking. I've never seen it. I've never seen something like this. Never have I seen anything like this, man. It's bizarre because, you know, it's bizarre because I'm a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, everybody gives Jerry Jones a lot of shit. Let me tell you this. Jerry Jones and Mark Cuban are not in the same fucking ballpark. They're not. All right? Yeah, the Mavs have a championship more recently, but Jerry Jones shits all over Mark Cuban. He does. Mark Cuban, great businessman. He's a good owner. Like from the owner, the business side of things, Mark Cuban, he's a good owner, right? He came in, he bought the Mavericks. He really saved the Mavericks because the Mavericks, Dallas didn't give a shit about the Mavs. They were terrible year in and year out, minus a few years here or there. People just didn't care. Mark Cuban bought the team, right? Led them to a new arena. And the fan base grew. You know, people started to care more, and now they've been a staple in Dallas, right? Everybody, you know, you have the Cowboys. When the Rangers are good, they're up there. Then you have the Mavericks. People like the Mavericks. They've had the longest sellout streak. That was all bullshit, by the way. If you've been to Mavs games, you know that streak was absolute bullshit. But they had the longest sellout streak in NBA history or whatever it was. But it's been bad lately. And I've never seen a fan base as distraught, as... I don't even know how to describe it. And again, I've been a fan of the Dallas Cowboys. And I've never seen Dallas Cowboys fandom this bad. Mavericks fandom, I just haven't seen a fan base be so done with their own team. And to have the owner come out and say shit like this, and have a day like Mark Cuban had today on Twitter, has been absolutely alarming. It has been. So let's start with this. Mark Cuban tweeted this out. Pretty harmless. Like, I didn't think too much of this tweet here, realistically. Like, whatever, it's an owner sticking up for his team. Yeah, we can all shit on Mark Cuban because, yeah, you know, you as the owner, and as somebody who's kind of openly said, yo, I'm like the de facto GM, even though we might hire GMs, I'm the guy. I'm paraphrasing here, but this was similar to a quote that he had earlier after the Nico Harrison signing. I sign off and everything. I write the check, so in a way, everything has to go through me. We know there's been plenty of reports that Mark Cuban is always going to be pretty much the manager of this team. Okay? This has been known forever, that it's Mark Cuban's way or the highway. So Cuban tweets this. The Mavs have lost 8 of their last 10. They're one of the worst shooting teams in the NBA. Mark comes out and basically is like, hey, well, I don't know why you guys are mad at us. It's the new ball. It's the new basketball. I don't know why you guys are so mad at us. It's the new basketball. That's why we're shooting bad, guys. Give it a A. That's why we're shooting bad, man, okay? Calm down. He tweets out these stats that shooting percentages are down across the league. This is true, right? Even crazier, if you go into the top 50 in three-point attempts, last year only one player shot under 34%. This year, 17 players, blah, 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 right? Blah, blah, blah. Then you have Marvelo Bolovic. Fucking... God. Hey, Mark hit it out of the park with Marvelo Bolovic. Anyways, so Cuban tweets this out. And inevitably, this has all come full circle in a way that's almost hard. In a way that's almost hard to believe. Let me see if I can find it. Harlabob. That's right. The villain. The villain of the story. Remember? Remember how much we all hated Harlabob Vargules, right? He comes in like an anti-hero, like Walter White. And he gets into it with Cuban on Twitter for the fucking world to see. Remember, only a few months ago, this man right here, Harlabob, was the dark spot of the organization. And now here he is getting into it on Twitter with the owner. The shadow GM, exactly. The shadow GM getting into it one-on-one with the owner. Mavs are largely getting different types of threes than they have in years past. If your main role in O was historically to stand beyond the three-point line, take catch and shoot threes, now you are cutting, screening, handling the ball, etc., etc. It makes sense you shoot worse. I'm reading this. I'm thinking Dorian Finney-Smith, even though he's actually been pretty good so far this year. You know that we track, see, like, here we go. You know that we track shooting when guys are by themselves in the gym, right? You know we have those numbers, right? This year, prior years, and there are never any fans in the gym when they are shooting. You remember that, right? So what Cuban's basically saying is, hey, these guys suck dick shooting in the gym too. Like, these guys are awful. These guys are also missing shots in an open gym. So how do you explain that? How do you explain uncontested three-point percentage being about the same as it was in years past? Is it your contention that teams shoot worse on contested threes because of the ball, but not uncontested threes? This is a good point by Harlebob. This is a good point. And then Cuban responds, anyone who does data will tell you if you change material variable, okay, blah, 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 you know, whatever. I'm trying to get to the point where Mark Cuban basically said 1v1 me, dude. Where Mark Cuban basically said 1v1 me on fucking Rust. Did he delete it? Okay, here it is. Play this one. This one is shocking to me. This one is absolutely shocking to me. Play a game of basketball first, and then we can talk. This is not like a Magic Johnson type of owner where he was an NBA player. This is Mark Cuban, who is a billionaire tech guy. Now, crypto, NFT, mid-level marketing scam type of guy. That's who Mark Cuban is, telling another person to play a game of basketball. The impact of different balls will not be the same for every player. There actually will be players who shoot the new ball better, others that will shoot the ball worse. Not everyone uses the same grips the same way when they shoot. Is there a possibility that the change in balls has made an impact on the Mavs shooting? Yes. It's a little bit difficult, though, to believe this whole narrative. The only reason the Mavs are struggling is because of the new ball. This is the narrative that Mark Cuban's trying to paint, by the way, is because of the new ball. When Tim Hardaway Jr., right, one of the biggest culprits, has come out and been like, I'm just not hitting shots, man. It's not the new ball for me. I'm just not hitting shit. Tim has come out and said that. The new ball has not affected him at all. The new ball has not affected him at all. And then Harlebob saying, yeah, we can play a game of one-on-one if you like. How is this happening, man? What fucking team am I rooting for? What team am I rooting for when this ex-Shadow GM, who was the shit stain of the franchise just a few months ago in everyone's eyes, right? He was the big problem with the franchise just a few months ago, is now on Twitter after getting fired and exposed as being the Shadow GM, is now on Twitter wanting to 1v1 the owner, who is directly going at him in a Twitter I can't even process what the fuck is happening with this team currently. All right. And that was bad enough. I was kind of thought it was funny, right? Like, oh my God, our current owner is fighting with the Shadow GM that he tried to deny existed pretty much. And then it came out that he actually did exist. And now the worst part is, Here's what Jeff Kavanaugh. I absolutely love Jeff Kavanaugh, by the way. I think he's one of the best Dallas media people. Here's Mark telling a guy empowered to run his team to play basketball because he respects your opinion. Weird. Mark says, Harlebob and I are friends. We talk shit all the time. Just more informed shit than you talk. Oh my God. It's just like, why do you have to be like this, man? Why do you have to be like this? Here's where things get bad and where I get really upset with what Mark Cuban has been on about today. Someone tweets this. I know Mark likes to tell us how involved he is and how much he cares about his team in basketball. However, a quick scan of his social media would lead me to believe his priorities are crypto and his TV show. This has been a common criticism of Mark Cuban in recent weeks, months, really since the start of the season, is that Mark just really seems to only give a shit about cryptocurrency, NFTs. It's pretty much the only thing that he talks about. He peddles this shit all the time. He's even like incorporating cryptocurrency and NFTs into the Mavericks, right? We know this. Mark responds to this and says, a quick scan of my social media and my lack of NBA commentary will tell you exactly how I feel about NBA Twitter. It's toxic and useless. Anytime a Mavs fan says something of consequence on here, I will DM them directly. Most of the rest, I just mute. Is NBA Twitter toxic? Undoubtedly, yes. It is a very, very toxic place. Is Mavs Twitter toxic? Yes, it is. Mavs Twitter, like I was saying earlier, is in a worse place than I've seen any fan base I have ever been a part of. Ever. This includes Cowboys fandom, right? Because there's always at least been some glimmer of hope for the Cowboys. I was talking to my friend about this recently. I think a lot of that has to do with the NFL is such a quarterback-driven league, and the Cowboys have at least always had a quarterback, right? It was Romo for however long that was, 12, 13, 14 years, and then it was Dak immediately. So even if the Cowboys were shit, there was at least that small glimmer of hope that, hey, at least we have our quarterback. And so even in bad years, right? Even in bad years, there was at least a glimmer of hope. I don't see any hope for the Mavs. Even the most optimistic Mavs fans that I've known, and we've talked about this. I don't think the game has started. I really don't give a shit. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care about this fucking game tonight. I'm gonna watch it, obviously. But anyways, even the most remember all things Mavs. This Twitter account that we've grilled and railed time after time after time because they're just they are positive to the point of delusion. Even they have lost it. Even they are out. They don't see it anymore. They don't see the vision. I've never seen a fan base like this, and for good reason. There's a difference between being overly negative, because I don't want to be like this, guys. I know some of you give me shit for being negative a lot, and that's fair. I am. Admittedly, I am a pessimistic fan. But whenever the outlook of the team is negative and you're being realistic about the team, it just comes off as you're being negative. When you're just being realistic. Okay? So this tweet was bad enough. Then he tweets this. And this is the one that has really gotten people worked up. Someone says, so you're admitting you just mute the opinion of most of your fan base. Mark says, NBA Twitter is the furthest you can get from our real fan base. Twitter is the absolute worst platform to try and engage with fans. Only thing worse, some fucking dumbass cryptocurrency shit, but it's close. So Mark Cuban basically just shit all over the entire Mavs Twitterverse. All over all of them. Calling them, going as far to say they are the furthest you can get from the real fan base. Please think about that, guys. If you are on Twitter voicing your opinion about this team, you're not a real fan in the eyes of your owner. In the eyes of the owner who owns the team you're talking about. You are not a real fan if you are on Twitter talking about the team. Criticizing the team. And I saw some people say, oh, he's just talking about like the ratio, you fell off. No, he's fucking not. Okay? Like that doesn't even need to be, that side of Twitter does not even need to be discussed. We all understand that side of Twitter sucks. It's not even worth giving your attention to. He is talking about Mavs Twitter that is hypercritical of the team because of the moves that Mark Cuban has, and more importantly, has not made in recent years. And this is what your owner says. What other owner is going to say stuff like this? It's mind-blowing to me. It is mind-blowing to me. Cuban spent the entire day trying to say it's the new ball. The new ball is the reason why we suck. It's not, our roster's fine. Everything else is fine. It's just the new ball, you know? It's just the new ball. And then hours later, he's saying, Mavs Twitter, they're not real fans. They're not real fans. You want to know who's the real fans in Mark's eyes? The people who get the tickets from their fucking company. They've watched 3 Mavericks games over the past 3 years. They get tickets from their company to go. They sit in the lower section, the lower 100, the lower bowl, right? They show up halfway through the fucking first quarter because they were at Katy Trail getting drunk. They show up, right? They leave after the third quarter because it's time to go to Bottle Blonde and stay in the line to get a Bottle Blonde. That's what it is. If you've been to a Mavericks game, you know that is true. You know that is 100% true. Our fan base at games is pathetic. It's terrible. It didn't always used to be like this, but now it is. It's horrible. They're dead. They show up so late. People are like in and out of their seats, fucking around, going around the concourse, the areas in the AAC. And a lot of fan bases are like that. I understand that. That's part of what the new fan experiences is like in not just NBA, but in sports in general, right? Stadiums are sort of like not just places to go watch games anymore, but a place where you want to go, hang out, meet up. Those are the real fans to Mark Cuban. The fans who, they're not going to criticize the team. They don't fucking care. Or the overly delusional Mavs fans who will support the team no matter what. You know what? I respect them. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to be a fan here. Okay, I'm not pulling a Mark Cuban. You be a fan however you want to be. If you want to be the fan who only watches a couple games a year, spends money to go to the lower bowl, hang out for a little bit, and then go to Katy and Bottle Blonde afterwards, do that. I'm not saying that's bad. If you want to be a fan that sits here and blows smoke up this team's ass 24/7, do that. I'm not saying leave the fan base or anything like that. But to come as the owner, to go on Twitter, the most online owner in sports maybe, besides homeboy from the Mets probably, to go on Twitter and say, hey guys, all of you reading this tweet, you're not real fans to me. You're not real fans to me. Those of you who spend the vast majority of your time discussing the Mavericks, watching the Mavericks, talking about the Mavericks, you're not real fans. Fucking joke. Absolute joke. This is so sad to me that it's fallen this far. And let's go look at his likes. He liked this. It's true. Here, this is the one. Once the Mavs start knocking down these wide open threes, it's over. This is what Mark Cuban actually believes, guys. Not that there's a roster construction problem. Game started. Oh boy, let's go fucking watch.